Hello there, good evening, and welcome to the weekend edition of Political Lens. I am Chukuma Okoro. In case you don't know, we are broadcasting from Lagos, the center of excellence, and we are streaming live on SLTV channel 264, on YouTube and other social media platforms. We are at VOPTV Live. You can also be a part of this conversation by joining us by sending WhatsApp messages to the number scrolling on your screen. You can also go to the YouTube comment section and let us know your thoughts on the discussions that we are holding today. Now, let's take you into the discussions we have today. Tension as Obi's village boy movement counters Tinubu's city boys. Obi Atiku to test popularity with direct primaries. 6 hidden changes in the new Electoral Act. And El-Rufai's troubles worsen as missing Daddy Atta's case is reopened. Let's bring in our guests. We've been joined in the studio here in Lagos, where we're broadcasting from by Dr. Peter Anosike. Peter is a philosopher, journalist, business consultant, and political affairs analyst. Good evening, Peter, and thanks for coming to
Thank you for having me.
We'll also be joined in the course of the show by Luka Biniyad. Luka is a veteran journalist and former spokesperson of the Southern Kaduna People's Union, SOCAPO. Now, the spokesperson of the Middle Belt Forum. He's going to join us in the course of the show. Now, Peter, let's run into it. Supporters of President Bola Tinubu and former Anambra Governor Peter Obi are intensifying grassroots mobilization ahead of the 2027 presidential election, following the launch of the Village Boys movement in Abuja. Unveiled by its convener, Mazi Tochukwu Ezeoke, the platform positions itself as a civic alternative to what it calls the city boy culture, arguing for end prosperity, service-driven leadership, and accountability over proximity to power and displays of wealth. Ezeoke described the movement as anchored on 3 principles: wealth must follow value, power must follow service, and leadership must follow accountability. While clarifying that it is not anti-urban, he framed the initiative as a moral contrast to politics fueled by access to state resources. He cited Peter Obi's tenure as Anambra governor as an example of fiscal prudence and transparency, stressing that Nigeria needs standards rather than a messianic figure. The group adopted the motto, "Unbought, unafraid, unstoppable," signaling resistance to vote buying and political intimidation. It announced plans for a 2 million man march across all 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, alongside grassroots organizing from village to polling unit level, focusing on civic education, budget monitoring, and election integrity as part of a broader push to reshape Nigeria's political culture towards productivity and ethical governance. Dr. Anosike, let's have your reaction to this development. Clash of ideas to propel and promote governance. Is it commendable or what? What do you see? What do you see happening?
Well,
city boys movement and city village movement.
Well, the truth is that I don't even think if there are cities in this country. I don't think if we have cities in this country, because Lagos have been described as one of the most dangerous places to live in the world.
I bet it's still a city.
That's by your own definition.
No, by urban planning definition.
By your own definition.
The fact, okay.
So I don't even think if or there are cities that warrant city boys.
Okay.
And I don't even know their mission and vision. Understand?
Okay.
And the members that I've seen, that the members of the city boys that I've seen so far, especially from the Southeast, are people without integrity, people with questionable wealth, questionable character, and everything.
But Dr. Anosike, I wouldn't want us to reduce the city boy movement to a Southeastern thing. I mean, it's
those that I've seen, especially in the Southeast.
Especially in the Southeast.
Yeah, I don't know of the other areas.
I want us to look at it at a broader level.
They say that charity begins at home. So I'm from the Southeast. I'm telling you that the members of the city board that I've seen in the South, from the Southeast, are people with questionable character, questionable wealth, no integrity. Understand? No integrity. Everything around them is questionable. So, but from what you read out there from the village boys, politics should be people over profit and moral over money. So for me, I will align more with the village boy than the city boys.
No, okay. Before we get into reasons why you will align with the village boys, rather than the city boys, I want us to look at the city boys movement, at the national level. It is Seyi Tinubu, the president's son, is the grand patron, so apparently it's powered by him. Seyi is a lawyer by training. He has a foundation, the Nuela Foundation, that has been doing a lot, for the less privileged, sharing palliatives during Ramadan and all of that. And according to them...
What is his business?
His business.
What is Seyi's business?
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He's a trained lawyer.
Where has he practiced?
UK trained lawyer.
Have you ever seen him in court?
I don't want to...
Have you ever seen him in court? What business is he into?
Hold on.
That he is sharing palliatives.
He owns a foundation. He could have businesses. He has business.
Mention one.
No, it's not my responsibility.
That's why I'm talking about questionable wealth, questionable character, and so on and so forth.
But he apparently was doing well before his father became president, wasn't he?
What business is he into?
He's a businessman.
What is his own area of business?
Okay, you don't know.
I don't know.
No, the fact that you don't know, the fact that it's not my position to enlighten you. The fact that you don't know.
Since you know, you should enlighten me.
I'm telling you that it's a
That's why I said
the
members of the city boys are people with questionable wealth, questionable character, no integrity. They are just there to avoid EFCC and DSS, period.
Dr. Anosike,
they are just there to avoid EFCC and the DSS.
But in all of this, none of the people that you mentioned, especially if you want us to go to the Southeast, now the people that you mentioned, none of them is undergoing investigations by the EFCC. None of them has been arrested or apprehended by the
Many of them have cases in court.
That you know?
Obi Kubana has cases in court.
Okay, civil cases or criminal cases?
A case is a case.
No. There are differences. I mean, there are differences. There's a difference between...
Which one do you have in court? Both civil and criminal, which one do you have in court?
I'm at liberty.
And you have cases in court too.
It concerns me.
I said, which one do you have in court?
I'm at liberty not to tell you because it's my personal affair. I'm not the person we are interrogating now. We are interrogating the people you said that have questionable character. And I'm telling you that because you brought in the angle of the EFCC, none of them is undergoing investigation to the best of my knowledge, except and you said they have cases in court, and I asked, is it criminal or civil cases? Anybody can have a civil case. It doesn't matter.
I don't have any.
I said anybody.
I don't have any.
Now, let's get away from all this argument. The guiding ethics, of the City Boy movement, CBM, as I call them, is accountable leadership, inclusive growth, and opportunities for all. While that of the Village Boys movement is wealth must follow value, power must follow service, and leadership
must integrity,
accountability.
Moral over money, people over profit, and that's what P2B stood for. That's what P2B is practicing up to date.
Okay, so you don't like accountable leadership and inclusive growth, opportunities.
What have they accounted? Where have City Boys people been tested?
Okay, now you're trying to create more like some kind of division, or you want us to compare notes between the president and Peter Obi, because both movements one are working for the president, one are working for is working for Peter Obi. Is that what you want us
to do? Let us go into it.
Okay, so what do you think that the leadership of this country under the Bola Tinubu administration has not done? What
have they done?
No, Peter.
What have they've done? Nothing. Peter, apart from impoverishing the life of Nigerians, apart from imposing multiple taxes on them, apart from having 141 million people in multidimensional poverty, a country that's supposed to be one of the richest on earth. What have they done?
But they are trying to promote accountable leadership, inclusive growth and opportunities.
On paper. On paper. Politics is about the street.
Okay, so
politics is about
you don't appreciate of the fact that the president has rolled out NEL fund, for university students in Nigeria, indigent students to access loans to further their education. It doesn't.
Where that idea is borrowed from United States, it has never worked.
Really?
If you have been following American politics, in 2024, Biden was talking about canceling the debts that the students have, that the beneficiaries couldn't pay. Biden, you Google it.
Did he eventually succeed? Did he cancel?
The Senate refused to approve it.
Okay, but at some point, a mass of Americans have been educated using that track. So isn't it something that we can replicate here? The basic thing is to get education first. You know? But I also know about a lot of people in the United States that have paid back.
Because there are jobs there.
Okay.
In Nigeria, are there jobs?
If there are jobs, are jobs and they are not paying, the NEL fund, you know, the grant, the education grant in the US is not working. How can you explain that?
I say it has not worked because they are finding it difficult. You cannot be paying debt and running family at the same time.
Okay.
It is difficult. They have jobs. Here, there are no jobs. And I'm telling you, that thing will be cancelled very soon because it will not work.
Okay, so you think that is not a track we should follow here in Nigeria?
It will not work.
Have done that.
It will not work.
Okay.
Because the conditions that you start paying immediately after your NYSC, where is that job? People that graduated 5 years ago are still looking for a job up till now.
Okay, now we are still interrogating what the president has done, you know, for these people to come and drum up support for him. Can we consider what people...
They are just being coerced. They are just being promised money and so on and so forth.
Okay, let's examine the other side. People that say we promote what? Wealth must follow value, power must follow service, and all of that. The P2B people, what have they done? What has P2B done?
What P2B
did?
A blind man have seen what P2B did. A blind man has seen what P2B did.
Dr. Osike, you seem to come across as you are combative. You don't need to be all.
A blind man,
educate our viewers.
A blind man has seen what P2B did
to deserve their support.
One, P2B is the most prudent politician in this country.
Okay.
He lives it, he practices. How many governors left money in the account of the state while he was exiting? How many governors? Tinubu left Lagos State in debt in 2007. Google it and you see it. P2B left Anambra State in credit in 2013. Understand me? So you cannot, and they check the allocation of Lagos State and Anambra State when both of them were in office. That's where we begin to judge who is better.
You will also recall that at some point, the Lagos State government under Bola Ahmed Tinubu was owed 3 years of their local government funds by the Obasanjo,
which was paid in 2004 after the Justice Owaya's judgment.
Okay. So should not have slowed development during his time?
During his time?
Yes. You know how development is. Capital projects, some of them take time to mature, to be executed and all of that.
When the money was paid, you go back and do what you didn't do.
Okay.
Understand me? You go back and do what you did not do. So, the money that was sealed between 2001, because when that happened was when he created the LCDS,
yes.
which up to today has not become functional.
LCDS, are they not functioning?
They are not functional.
I don't get it. What do you mean?
What I mean is that in the federation account, Lagos State still have 20 local governments.
And so when Lagos State gets the money, they split it between the local government areas and the LCDS.
Which means what he did, the federal government is yet to recognize it up to date.
But that was the judgment of the Supreme Court. You cannot create local government. It's an act of parliament. And until parliament does that, it's either you collapse or you don't expect to get money from the federation account. So whatever you get, that was the Supreme Court judgment. Whatever you get, you can share with whatever.
You share.
And so that's what they are doing. Is it not working for them?
I say that thing that he did up to today, federal government is yet to recognize the LCDS.
Okay, so Dr. Osike, on a scale, between Peter Obi and Tinubu, you think that the people that are the CBM that are supporting Tinubu, that they are misfiring? Is that your position?
They are not thinking right. Okay. They don't love this country. Understand me? They have skeletons in their cupboard.
You know, before we'll come to all of that, we'll go to the Southeast. Before Tinubu became president, a lot of Nigerians eulogized him and said, oh, you know, he did well when he was in Lagos and all of that. And
That's hype,
they thought that he would be able to replicate all of that at the national level. Now we see him, you know, struggling to do all of that.
That's why I say it was hype.
It was hype.
I was here from 1999 till date.
Okay.
So I witnessed his 8 years in office.
Okay. Now,
so when I'm talking of governors that did well in Lagos State, Tinubu, I will mention 5 without mentioning Tinubu.
Okay, you know, what I want us to do is I want to extrapolate, you know, because people are saying, well, based on what Peter Obi did in Anambra State, according to you, he will be able to replicate it at the national level. Is there any guarantee? Because you see a Tinubu that supposedly did well, well, you don't admit that, but a whole lot of people believe that he did. And now at the center, he's struggling. Do you think that Peter Obi will get into that kind of quagmire or what?
At the foundation is the character of the individual.
Okay.
Peter Obi and Tinubu don't have the same character. Peter Obi is by nature prudent. And one of the problems of this country is that we are running, that's a bogus economy. That's a bogus system. But what will move Nigeria forward is being frugal, cutting cost of government, which Peter Obi will do better than any other person, because that is who he is. Understand me? That is who he is. So that's why I believe, and nobody can make me think otherwise, that Peter Obi will do far better than Tinubu anytime, any day.
Okay.
Because where frugality has been tested, those countries moved forward. I can mention Croatia, I can mention Argentina. Ghana now is moving forward. Understand me? Because right now, we don't have any reason for running 48 ministers. It is a waste.
Okay, it's a waste. And you think that Peter Obi wouldn't do all of that?
Peter Obi can never do it.
Now let's go to the Southeast where you come from. The CBM is powered by Seyi Tinubu, like we said already. And his friends like Obinni Yebo, Obi Kubana, Pascal Okechukwu, that is the Kubana chief priest, Emeko Konkwo, E-Money, and Cletus Orawa, that's Zenko, and others, you know, and the counter group people are rooting for Obi. How much of this will impact directly on election results in the Southeast, being that these people are role models for the youth in the Southeast?
Who are they running?
You know, a lot of youth in the Southeast look up to these people.
Obi Kubana's junior brother ran for an election in 2023, House of Reps, and failed woefully.
So what factors led to...
So if it's influential, understand me, because this is just a federal constituency, which is 2 local governments. Understand me? We are not talking about a senatorial zone. So if he is influential, there's no way his own junior brother will have failed the election in his own locality. Understand me? Let us start from there to check their who they are. So if Obi Kubana is popular enough, is influential enough, his own junior brother will not have failed election in his own local government.
Okay, so you want to dismiss the fact that these young men are not role models, because I know that a lot of young men in the South look up to these people. They want to, in our local parlance, blow like them, and somehow they are somewhat influential.
What is their source?
No, but the young men that we are looking at, that we are talking about, that active population, that active useful asset of the population, that demography in the Southeast, they don't know about all of this. What they see them is, oh, these are role models. I want to be like this. And if they are influencing me...
So those young people will leave people that they don't, that they know that
people like who?
They will leave people to be and follow Kubana chief priest.
Peter, in reality, you know, in reality, how many young men do you think want to be like Peter Obi? As a matter of fact.
P2B is selling character. He's selling integrity.
How many people, this generation that we are looking
Yes,
at, how many
what happened in 2023?
how many of them want to be
What happened in 2023?
Okay.
What happened in 2023? Upon that, the whole 5 Southeast governors worked against P2B. P2B triumphed above all of them.
Okay.
It is this youth.
Okay, so you think that the youth will rather look up to P2B than look up to E-Money, Obi Kubana, Kubana Godfather and all of that, Kubana Chief Priest and all of that?
There's no doubt about that.
Okay, so whatever they are doing in the South is not going to affect
It's just a jamboree. It is just a jamboree.
Okay, now, Dr. Anosike, I'll come back to you. Let's quickly run to Ruka Biniyat, who has joined us virtually. Luka is a veteran journalist and a former spokesperson of the Southern Kaduna People's Union. He is now the national spokesperson of the Middle Belt Forum. Good evening to you, Luka Biniyat, and thanks for joining us on Political Lens. Well, unfortunately, we lost a connection with him because of network downtime. See what we are talking about. Let's come back to the studio here, where we still have Dr. Peter Anosike, and we are interrogating the effect of the City Boys movement, what they are likely to do in the Southeast. Because the Seyi Tinubu and his friends have more like, taken a group of influential, according to standards, according to opinion outside that these young men are influential. But Dr. Anosike is destroying all of that premise, saying, well, these men are not influential.
Assuming that I'm from Sokoto,
okay,
you can be telling me about them.
Okay.
Understand me?
Not the people that you know.
Not the people that I know.
Okay.
Do you know that the latest thing, there's calls everywhere that they should stop patronizing Obi Kubana's products? Are you aware of it?
No, I'm not.
If you are not, I'm bringing that to your knowledge.
Okay.
That's in thing now, as we speak.
So is that some kind of business fight or political fight? Why descend to all of that?
Because you don't follow somebody who is going on a wrong way.
No, but this is politics. People are allowed to support whoever they want to support. Is that not being emotional or overly emotional?
Those who are making that call are being very, very, very rational.
Okay.
They are being very, very rational. And I'm 100% in support of them.
No, okay, now, people that we have mentioned, talk about Obinna, Pascal, talk about, that's the Kubana Chief Priest, Oragwa Boy, and E-Money. These young men are all businessmen. They are basically not politicians. Is there anything
Then
wrong?
What are they doing?
Is there anything wrong in them?
What is the purpose of City Boys?
No, they want to advance their business interest through politics.
Okay, they want to advance, but politics is about other people.
It's about the people.
That's how I understand politics.
Okay.
Politics is about other people. Politics is about an appraisal of somebody's stewardship.
Politics is also about interests. Do you condemn what Elon Musk did with Trump during the 2023 general election in the United States? Do you condemn that?
What did
he not do? He was supporting Trump because of his business interests. At some point, the position that he was given because he supported Trump. Do you condemn that?
He ran a very successful business.
Okay.
Understand? And Donald Trump is...
No, Peter, don't qualify it. He's a businessman.
He ran a very successful business.
No, he's a businessman.
If you know the story,
Trump
if you know the story, if you know the story of Tesla, if you know the story of Tesla, understand me, you know that this guy went extra mile to become who he is. And Donald Trump is impressed with what he has achieved.
And you think that these young men just grew from the ashes? You know what have been through in business to get to where they are?
I said, what
for the presidency to recognize them and say, come and do this.
What is the source of their income?
When you say what is the source of their income, you want to take us back to the issue of, has anybody arrested or investigated them?
I know the story of Elon Musk right from age 10.
Okay.
Understand me? I can tell you to the end.
Why is he having problems with Trump at this point? Why is he having problems with Trump?
Anywhere there are two or three people, there will always be misunderstanding.
There will always be
Understand me?
Okay. Now, let's quickly run back to Biniyat. Luca, good evening and thanks for joining us on Political Lens.
Good evening, and it's good to be here.
Okay, good to have you. Good to have you. We tried to bring you the other time, and the internet took you out. We'll talk about internet connectivity in a bit. But for now, I'm sure you have followed this conversation. We are talking about the CBM versus the VBM, the City Boys Movement and the Village Boys Movement. Apparently, one group rooting for continuity with the current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and another group said, no, we want Peter Obi to come in. And in all of this, all of them are rooting for particular individuals. What's your reaction to that, especially with the fact that, well, Sheyi Tinubu is the one advancing the other cause for his father, and you have a group of young men, an outgrowth from the obedient movement, saying, look, this is what we want. So how do you react to this development?
Well, it's nothing different from what we saw in 2019. The obedient movement was largely constituted by youth, youth who were optimistic that Obi was going to bring the desired change that this country desired. And then the city boys, as it were at that time, were also rooting for Tinubu. Those ones are largely, followers of conservative politicians who believe that if Tinubu should get to power, their masters will be, on the sharing table, and the crumbs will fall to them. So they represent two, different political shades. One conservative, the other one's liberal. And you are bound to find this in, most climes where two political parties or three are dominant. So it is something that's going to be very interesting, because the city boys have a lot of money to play with. They have the power of the states behind them. They can intimidate, they can bribe, they can do what they like. And then you have the village boys whose spirit is for real change, but they are very determined, they are very inspired. And they believe that with Peter Obi there, Nigeria will be a better place. So they represent two different values, and I think it's a welcome development.
Okay, it's a welcome development as far as politics is concerned. Now, these young men, especially the people of the CBM, the City Boys Movement, these young men are basically politicians who want to advance their economic interests, not political interests, by the way. Or even if they are playing politics, they are using it to advance their economic interests. Is there anything wrong in that?
Well, yes, everything is wrong in that if in the end it is your own economic and political interests that you are pushing, as the core agenda, and not the interests of the people. Politics should be about service. Politics should be about self-sacrifice. So any group of people who form themselves into an ambitious clan just to pursue untoward, self-interest, are doing it to the detriment of the country. So everything is wrong with that. If in the end the pursuit of power, is to further your economic and political nest, I think it's a disservice to the country. It should not be encouraged at all. It's a shame anybody who's engaged in that kind of politics.
Okay, as far as Mr. Luka Biniyat is concerned, I mean, there's everything wrong in that, because people are trying to advance their personal interest instead of collective interest. Now, the way you understand Nigerian politics, will this result in some sort of clash between these two elements in the real election showdown? I want us to go to the Southeast now, where in the Southeast, you have one of their prominent sons, Peter Obi, coming out, to say, I'm going to be on the ballot in 2027. And you see this group of people, the CBM, of Igbo origin, going to the Southeast to say, no, it's not Peter Obi that we want. We want some form of continuity. They are apparently affiliated to the son's president. They are his friends. And they're saying, this man has done well and we want him to continue. Will it result in some form of political clash, probably, that could lead to some kind of conflagration in the Southeast? If you recall what happened in Ogoni land, when one group was in support of, another group in support of, and the way we have our politics of antagonism that we play now, will it, by in any means, result in some kind of killings, bloodshed, or what? The way things are going now, because if you go to the Southeast, a lot of people are already saying, no, we don't want to see you here. Don't come here. And like the analyst here in the studio said, some people are already making calls, asking some group of people, asking Nigerians from the Southeast to boycott Obinna Iyebu's Obi Kubana's products. What do you think? What do you see coming?
Well, I think you are jumping the gun this time, because Obi still has a very, very serious battle before he gets to the present position which you are talking. He has to clinch the ticket of the ADC first. And his chances are neither here nor there. I want to say the chances are 50-50. If you look at the major contender there, which is Abubakar Atiku. Abubakar Atiku has been an old fox in this game. He controls a lot of the political structures that the ADC has today. He's well-rooted. He has a lot of loyal followers, people that are politicians that he has developed over the time that are, fanatically loyal to him. Obi is a relatively newcomer. A lot of the obedience are not yet in the ADC, from all I know. The ADC itself, the labor movement itself, is not a registered political party. So his popularity is not really rooted in the membership of the party. And with the electoral reforms
Mr. Binier, I'm sorry to butt in at this moment. I wanted us to simulate a situation where, peradventure, Peter Obi is on the ballot.
Fine. That should be it. So that scenario, yes, as we painted, may likely point out. Like I was saying, I would say that the City Boys movement have a lot of money. They have power behind them. They are also ruthlessly ambitious, because they believe that if Tinubu should continue, better things will come to them. And then the obedience too are tired. I mean, the village boys too are tired with the system. They are frustrated, and they will do anything to ensure that there is a change for once. So if Peter Obi eventually clinches the ticket, these two fronts clash not only in the southeast, maybe even in the southwest, especially in Lagos.
Okay,
it may turn out to be. Yeah.
All right, that would be very dangerous, and we just pray that it doesn't get to that. Now, let's segue into the second conversation, which is basically about, and we're going to talk about Atiku and Obi, clinching the presidential ticket of the ADC. President Bola Tinubu recently signed into law the 2026 Electoral Act as amended, passed by the National Assembly, introducing 7 major changes ahead of the 2027 general elections. One key reform tightens voter registration requirements, limiting acceptable identification to only 3 documents: a birth certificate, a Nigerian passport, and a national identification number, NIN. Where the amendment removes the national identity card and driver's license from the list of valid documents. The bill also introduces a downloadable voter card, allowing citizens to obtain their cards directly from the INEC website, reducing long queues and potentially boosting voter participation. Additionally, it formally approves real-time electronic transmission of election results via INEC's result viewing portal IREV, while permitting a fallback to the physical form EC8A for collation if technical failures occur. Now, that is one that Nigerians have been talking about lately. Another significant reform affects party primaries. That is what we are going to chime in on now. The amendment abolishes indirect primaries and recognizes only direct primaries and consensus candidacy for selecting party nominees. This change aims to curb vote buying during and among delegates, and broaden participation among registered party members in candidate selection. Finally, the law adjusts election timetables, timelines, and funding procedures. It reduces the time frame for disbursing election funds to INEC from 12 months to 6 months before elections. It also shortens the deadline for parties to submit candidate lists from 180 to 120 days before elections, and requires INEC to publish the final list of candidates 60 days before election day instead of the previous 150 days requirement. Now, Binia, let me stay with you. How will you, I want us to talk about the issue of the direct primaries. How do you think that might affect, the ADC in choosing their presidential candidate? Now, the provision here, as stipulated by the Electoral Act 2026, which the president signed into law the day before yesterday, if the leadership of the party, or if members of the party fail to arrive at a consensus, you adopt direct primaries, doing away with delegates. So there is no issue of, oh, delegates come and take $1, delegates come and take $40,000, as happened in the past. If that happens, how do you think that, will it be a test of popularity between Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi ahead of the 2027 election, talking at the level of the primaries? What do you see coming?
Well, if you look at it at the surface, it's a very good development. It's a very exciting development that the delegate system has been abolished, and party members now can directly choose their members. I mean, their what is called their flag bearer. But you see, like I was saying the other time, I said when it comes to issues of grassroots politics at the national level, Atiku is already long rooted. He has a lot of clannish supporters all over the country. It is easy for him to mobilize members who are deep pockets like him, and also, use their influence, to seek for, members' loyalty at all the grassroots in Nigeria. Peter will be maybe hugely popular among the masses, among the middle class, the educated youth, the suffering masses, and so on. But he does not have the reach. He does not have the structures. He does not have the political capital, to fight Atiku to clinch the ticket. And put in mind that even when it comes to money politics, as we see, even during elections, they still try to bribe voters. So removing the delegate system will not still remove the ability of desperate, politicians who wants to be on the ballot to still bribe.
So,
yes.
Okay, so it's going to be business as usual. All right, thank you, Mr. Okay, yes, I would like for us to run back to the studio because we need to get into.
Peter Obi would not want to be engaged in that kind of practice. Okay. So his chances of being at the ballot, in this dirty Nigerian
politics, it's still slim as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, that's my take.
All right, thank you very much. I'll come back to you in a bit. So we'll go to Kaduna State, where you live in, where you are from. Dr. Anosike, how do you react to the direct primaries, as stipulated by the new Electoral Act? Will it be a test of popularity between Atiku and Peter Obi, and what do you think will be the outcome?
Well, the primaries is not yet here. Okay. So, and it is too early to begin to shortlist Peter Obi and Atiku. Other people might come in.
Both of them are the two major contenders, as it were now.
Okay. One, there's no doubt that among the youth in Nigeria, which constitute over 65% of Nigerian population, understand me, Peter Obi is the most popular. Among the youth in the country today, Peter Obi is the most popular, and it is easier to bribe delegates, understand, because there are usually few, understand me. So the direct primaries will be more credible than indirect.
Okay, so at this point, it's difficult for you to say who will carry the day.
It is very, very difficult until then, because going by football experience, 2 days ago, people were expecting Arsenal to give Wolves 4-0 because Wolves was at the bottom of the league.
Okay.
While Arsenal was at number 1. But what happened? It ended in a draw.
In a draw. So it's too early to predict
until the primaries.
Okay, until the primaries. All right.
We will know.
Now let's run to Kaduna State, where the former governor and former FCT Minister El-Rufai is scheduled to be arraigned on February 25th before a federal high court in Abuja in a case filed by Nigeria's Department of State Services, DSS. The three-count charge marked FHC/ABJ/CR/99/2026 and to be heard by Justice Joyce Abdul Malik, accuses him of cyber crimes and violating provisions of the Communications Act, including the alleged unlawful surveillance of the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. Separately, Khadija, wife of missing social media influencer Idris Abubakar, popularly known as Daddy Yatta, has expressed sadness over remarks by Bashir El-Rufai, that's El-Rufai's son, mocking public demands for answers about her husband's disappearance. In an interview with Ronald Mokri, ambassador designate, she said she was deeply hurt by continues to pray for her husband's safe return. Daddy Yatta, a lecturer at the Federal University of Dotson Ma, was abducted outside his Kaduna home on August 2, 2019, and has not been since then. While the disappearance has sparked allegations against El-Rufai's administration, which were denied, the matter resurfaced after El-Rufai, in a recent TV interview, rejected claims of government involvement and instead suggested that Yatta had been critical of former Kadu governor, former APC national chairman Abdullahi Ganduje. He cited an alleged police hint at a possible Kano link while maintaining that Kaduna state authorities bore no responsibility. Mr. Biniyat, Malam El-Rufai seems to have a lot in his hands. Now, walk us through how people in Kaduna react to his travels. Let us know what's going on in Kaduna when the issue of Nasir El-Rufai is brought up in public places, in corner shops, in public places where people sit around and they raise the issue. How do people react? Let us know.
People react 25% differently and 75% separately. 75% are very happy. In fact, it's a long awaited development that 75% of the Kaduna state population, in my own estimation, it was a lot of relief that a lot of the people that El-Rufai has taken on feel with his arrest, because all this while he was carrying himself as if he was clearly above the law. Put in mind that he was the one that said that Peter Obi won the 2023 election, and they rigged the election. So we thought that was enough to incriminate him. He said a lot of other damning things too against the government, which we believe he had no ways of justifying. He said that the National Security Advisor and Kaduna State government were paying bandits huge sums of money every month in Kaduna State to stop the killings. He didn't come out to substantiate that. So he had been saying all kinds of things and getting away with it. But this time, I think he beat what he could not chew and swallow. And so it is with jubilation, in fact, to say, especially if you come from my part of the state, Southern Kaduna.
Okay, all right. Mr. Biniyat, I hope you are not being emotional about this, because we want to get to the facts of the matter, the roots of the matter. I understand that you were at some point held by the El-Rufai administration. Am I correct on that?
You see, that has become a burden on me. Each time I want to make some, a clarification on El-Rufai, they say, it was because you were jailed. But that's not true. I was a journalist covering the FCT.
Okay, but were you at some point held by that administration?
When I was minister of FCT. My encounter with him started when he was minister of FCT.
Okay.
And I saw cruelty and brutality firsthand. So my coming to Kaduna State to also meet him as my governor, he continued with the same mindset. And my attitude towards him has never changed. I am somebody that believes in fairness and justice. And it doesn't matter whether El-Rufai liked me or not, whether he has jailed me or not. What is on ground is that empirically, everything that I'm saying, you can come here and verify it. It's so. El-Rufai's tyranny in Kaduna State is unprecedented in the history of the state. And nobody can write that away. The story in Kaduna State is written in blood and sweat. There's nothing emotional about it. The figures are there.
Okay. You are from Southern Kaduna, and a lot of people say, people that are in Kaduna, even people that are not indigenous of Kaduna, say that El-Rufai did a lot of harm and damage, to the people of Southern Kaduna. Is that correct?
Yes. Very correct. It's not only people in Southern Kaduna, but we bear most of the brunt because in his own brutality against the people of Southern Kaduna, he comes out on TV to boast about it. He also dealt with poor people from his own side, demolition of houses, indiscriminate sacking of tens of thousands of workers, even from the other side. He said, disrespect for, court orders and other harmful things. But you see, the Kaduna State is like two states forced into one. Why most of the people from the why a lot of people from the northern part of Kaduna like El-Rufai? It was because of the clear hatred and brutality he was extending to the Christian South, because we have like two different fronts just forced together to intermarry. So they looked at him as a kind of hero.
I like the point. I like the point that you brought us to this angle. I like the fact that you brought us to this point. A lot of people, at some point, El-Rufai himself said, most of the problem with the people of Southern Kaduna is that they constitute 25% of the population. But they want 50% of the opportunities in Kaduna State. They want 50% of employment opportunities. They want 50% of elective positions. They want 50% of appointive positions. So how would that work?
My brother, what fascinates most of us with El-Rufai is that El-Rufai lies with the ease of a hot knife cutting butter. Let me tell you what Southern Kaduna is. Southern Kaduna is not Kaduna South Senatorial District. No. It's like you said, the Middle Belt. The Middle Belt is not central. No. It's larger than that. Southern Kaduna is made up of 12 of the local governments, 12 of the 23 local governments of Kaduna State. 12, not 8. And according to 2006 census population, the area called Southern Kaduna, the 12 local governments make up 51.2% of the states. So the Christian population, which is largely based in Southern Kaduna, is a marginal majority in Kaduna State. It just portends his crude, ability to sit down and lie without batting an eyelid. Southern Kaduna is far, far bigger than that. And the culture has always been, if the governor is a Christian, the deputy will be a Muslim. If the governor is a Muslim, the deputy will be a governor, because of the fairly balanced in nature of the population. We produce the same number of commissioners. If we have 2 ministers, we share them into us. But El-Rufai brought in politics of bigotry, politics of division, and he treated us as if truly he really believed that we were 25% or less than 25%. That's not true.
Okay.
Most of them
are
60%. So it's not true at all.
All right, Mr. Biniat, as we leave now, I would like for you to give us a concluding thoughts. And while doing that, the present governor, Obasani, has he done any better for the people of Southern Kaduna compared to what El-Rufai did?
The present governor has tried to bring the states together. He has tried to use suiting political tactics. He's very inclusive. He does not look at the southern part with disdain. But he's still not largely different in terms of giving opportunities to the southern part. If you look at his political appointments and those he has also, recommended for appointment at the federal level, it's not too different from that of El-Rufai. But at least he does not arrest us and lock us up. At least he does not insult our traditional leaders and jail them. He does not also balkanize our chiefdom. So he is somebody that is more acceptable than El-Rufai. He's far, far different than El-Rufai.
Okay,
he looks like a seasoned politician. He's a better person.
Okay, better person than El-Rufai. I'll take that as a concluding thought. And thank you very much, Mr. Luka Bini. I would like for you to come back, to this program some other time so that we can expand the discussion about what is going on in Kaduna State. I must say thank you to you. I appreciate your presence on Political Links. And to you, Dr. Anosike, can use 30 seconds to give us your concluding thoughts, like a wrap?
Well, I've said on this program that what El-Rufai said during the interview is called a puffery. It's a psychological warfare, and that it is not enough to convict him if there are no other corroborating evidences. And that was why they have that to raid his house in search of other evidence to corroborate the interview. Understand me?
Yes.
And again, what is happening to El-Rufai is because he left APC.
Okay, it's because he left. So he's politically motivated.
So he's politically motivated.
All right, then.
Understand me?
This would be a good place to anchor the show. And I must say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Peter Anosike, philosopher, journalist, and business consultant. Thank you for coming to my show. I appreciate your presence.
Thank you for having me.
On behalf of the backroom staff, I am Chukwuma Okoro. Up next is Issues with Nana Ndemdioto. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you on Monday on the morning show, 8 o'clock. Bye for now.